Hey people, I googled images of aliens and they put Stephen Hawking's picture right up on the top. He does kind of look like an alien. So I had to go scan through this article a little bit and I found out that, well, he ain't near as bright as everybody thought he was. But he says there's no chance of an afterlife. There's better chance of aliens on planets than afterlife. So that tells me that he didn't even understand the law of the conservation of energy that can neither be created nor destroyed. But I don't even think he understands the definition of alien. Google tells me that alien is belonging to a foreign country or nation, unfamiliar or disturbing or distasteful, relating to or denoting beings supposedly from other worlds, or a plant animal species introduced from another country and later naturalized. When they say plant or animal, the human is an animal. So most all of us in America are alien, and we have been naturalized. And they say it comes from Latin, the alias, another, and an alien, us, belonging to another. Then it made it to French and then to English as alien. But it actually comes from Japan. It's the yen, the monetary unit of Japan. Or a strong desire or propensity to have an intense desire to yen for, to yen for a better life. All, ALYEN, all who have an intense desire for a better life, an alien. And this word comes up in the Bible 4 times, spelled ALIEN, alien. And you can see that's what it means, because they're talking about going out and we should go up in and of the cities which we shall come alien. And so, with the ancient letter meaning chart, it's the power of to make life seed, the power of making. All yin, all have a strong desire. And that's where aliens come from. They have a desire for a better life, a yin. And so they just say it means into, meaning coming from somewhere else. But they mistranslate all these words. A knoll is ancient English for a head. A knoll, we should go up. No, not go up, but the head. The head be what whore is. The city is the whore is. Assure never alien. And this word comes up 4 times like this. I found it. Maybe more with a different interpretation, but in this category, they give it this 4. And you don't notice it because they change all the vowels. Not often do they symbol the A with an A. They usually give it an E or a O, especially in front of the L. They'll always say it's L-E-L. But they say it means as or about. But when you go to these verses, it's never the same. It never means any of this. What brought me here? I was reading in that movie yesterday, Esau Sells His Birthright. And I was looking at this word, and cooked, and it's, V-I-I-Z-D, vised, and vised is when you cooking up a scheme. And so I read this paragraph, the 3 different ways that I know to read it, and I wanted to look farther into this word vised, because it only comes up 1 time like this, but it has several other spellings that they put in this category, and they say it's cooked. And here with just the IZD, ized, they say it means to come presumptuously. But eyes means, to conform or to resemble. If you got a big old belly, you might be impregnatized. Eyes meaning to make resemble. But I saw it here in this form, what ties do. They say it means enacted or presumptuously. And I went to read in there, and I caught something here, this pie, they say it means to command. Usually it's the zoo, they say means command. But this is phi, F-Y. To defy is to not do what you're supposed to defy. And so D is to remove the phi. Remove the defy what you were supposed to do. And after reading this, I had to go up and start reading from the top to put it all in place. At the beginning of Deuteronomy. And I didn't make it all the way down there when I ran into this, where it was talking about in and of the cities which we shall come into. Alien, the power of yin, the power of strong desire for. Alien. And so I noticed that it comes up in the first chapter of books 3 times. So you're just now coming into the city. You're alien in the first chapter. And then in Ezekiel, that's the way I heard the 41st chapter, and we're carved alien on the doors. And here's a big clue right here, and we're carved on them on word 413. It's the same word, sometimes they say it means trees, and sometimes they say it means gods. The L base word for what they say is God. And so they're kind of removing what them means is what they're saying. But this is, and we're carved. So give the vav, the and it's just the os as to, and then 2 vav, so W-Y-E. As to why, alien. All did let what? The dot and the D gives you 2 D's. And so did let what? And they say the dalet is the door, is where that's coming from. But you could, if you read the first D is a through the dalet, and so the alien all through the door, what? The hick, and then the L is of, the hick of crew of is, the hick of crew of is. And so a hick, is said to mean a person lives in the country regarded as being unintelligent. And you can see where they're getting this carve from over here is over here, KRV, carve them. But this, can always also be read as WAS and was to Y. And they say only comes up this one time, so nothing else was ever carved. And was to Y alien, all did let what? The hick of the crew of is. Let the hicks of the crew in. The unintelligent. What marries the Caesar, the Kaiser, the Caesar, the king? What marries Caesar? The C or the K is with a dot, the CE, the CH, the CEASER, Caesar. And Caesar isn't what you think Caesar is. Caesar is an ancient word for the Kaiser, the one that's ruling. The Kaiser, as to whose, WY is Y, how or who, S, as to whose liquor. The liquor what? As to whose liquor what? And liquor, is to concentrate the ale. You concentrate the spirit from beer, and that's your liquor. The liquor what? And box, B-O-X. They'll never get the vowels right. The W is right, but then you have a O, and they'll give it a A-E instead of just a O. And it means of, and a box, and of the B-O-X, and of box, all pine, all pine for all wanton. And they're getting this front of because it means the face on your penny. That's Abraham Lincoln. And all pine have wills. And then from the house, H-U-X, H-U-U-X. And that's where they're getting this outside. The house is inside. And when you're from the house, if you're on the road and answer your telephone, well, I'm not home right now. I'm from the house. And you see this house is spelt with an X, as a T-S, H-U-U-T-S. It wasn't fine houses, but it was huts from the huts. So I ran into something and I learned more about this myrrh. It's always in the word, the yammer. It's in many words, the M-R. They call it the palm trees here in what more is, or to time rise. And so this is an ancient word for the pyramid. It comes from this word right here, this MR. You know, it's here, this is a MR. And I believe this is a spoke. They say it's pronounced, the MYR. This pyramid is come from a Greek word because this symbol represented a bread they cooked, and that's a crock of shit. I challenge anybody to show me how to cook a loaf of bread that comes up to a point. But in the time that this was written, the typical translation of this MR is a high place. And that's where the word, what from, WTM, what from rise, to the high place. And, palm trees grow really slow, it is take to time rise. And so what from rise, the Caesar, the Kaiser, and is coming from the alien. And was to why alien all did let what the hick of the crew of eyes. What from rise, Kaiser, as a vise, to use, as to vise. What to rise is the Kaiser's advisor. And that was Joseph, he's the governor over all the land of Egypt. And they'll tell you, Joseph's already there because his brothers had sold him into slavery. But, when he'd been taken down to Egypt and bought him Potiphar, an officer of the Pharaoh. He was a slave, but he had enough money to buy an officer of the Pharaoh, the captain of the guard. These are the names of the sons of Israel who came to Egypt with Jacob. And Joseph was already in Egypt. So there's nothing about this story hold any water at all. If they were fishing, they need to patch some big old holes in the net. And as to why alien all did let what the hick of caravise and time rise Kaiser as a vise of fire what to of box all pine have wheels from each to what's. What from rise the Kaiser as a vise, to just as they were carved, as a vise, as to shape the Kaiser. And there's no way Kaiser means just as. Everything about it says it's the king. Kaiser is an emperor. And if you look at it in the letter meaning chart, the Ka is to give power, to consume first. And who has power to consume first? The Kaiser. Everything goes through the Kaiser first. So the first time this comes up in Exodus 1:17, it's also with Caesar, Kaiser, after had commanded as the king of Egypt. And so this starts with, what tyrant. And they got it confused with tyrant, and feared. But what, two T's, what tire on? And so that means what you would think is retire. To retire means to tire again. And you're not. You're tiring the first time. What tire? Tired, And then the mill date. And so this means, what tire on the mill date? That means your cornmeal's getting old. It's past its mill date. What tire on the mill date? At hail is. Hail is where it comes from. Time or the place. At hail is. The mill date at hail is. Will as to a Kaiser did in bear. Two D's did, two B's in bear. As to the Kaiser didn't bear. The king is getting too old, is what they saying. What tire on the mill date at hail is. The one at hail is will as to a Kaiser didn't bear. Alien, milk, miseries. And most of the time this word for Egypt it'll have a tack in front of it, and a lot of times it has an A in front of it. And a lot of times you read it backwards, and that's where that word, the mire, the high place, the pyramids, the mire. But it's also the place of miseries. If you had a drug problem, alcohol problem, because it was all there in the place from the milk miseries. What they gin, WT to what, and then the THY. They give it a bunch of extra vowels here. But what they JIN, the jinn was the evil spirits. And I'm not too fond of gin either. I do like it in the tonic and lemon. But yeah, gin is poison. To what they gin at. The yield is, YLD, the yield is what comes from the evil spirits. What they gin at, the yield is. You're distilling out of the brew. The yield, what comes from, and the yield is. It's a scientific term. The yield is. And so, there's that hail is, hail Caesar. And so this, it has two meanings. It's what tire on the mill date at the hail is. And so the hail is, the heavens, what's happening in the stars and the planets and the astrology, what tire on the mill date. And you see at the beginning, most of the Bible's like this, the old astrology is wrong and you're having to change it. And so it's talking about that, but it's talking about, happenings on earth. And so the happenings in the heavens are the real story, and the happenings on the earth is a story that's created to fit what's going on in the heavens. And what tire on the mill date at the all his, ALHIS, the God is all his, and to hail is. Well, as to Kaiser didn't bear, an alien from lack. Milk, MLK, comes from the lactose. The toast part is the sugar. And the milk is where your word emulsion come from. A milk is, an emulsion is salad dressing, is a oil in a water. How to suspend the oil in water. It tries to separate. And so a milk is when you can disperse the oil through the liquid well. And so the milk is the stars in the heaven, the Milky Way, and how, the oil doesn't all collect at the top, but they kind of spread out in there good, like a good shook up salad dressing. The milk, the emulsion, the alien milk miseries, an MT with series. The milk comes in a series. The kings come in the series. What they gin at, the yield is. Then the next time it comes up here, beginning of Deuteronomy, which shall come about. And this starts with, what take, two T's, what take. And they'll always give this TQH, the take. But what take review, RVU, review when? What take review when? And came near. No, review is a word they use at an all-girl show. The review. What take review when? And then this little S above the I here, it means to move the last letter over. So it's ALIL. And what take review when a little selects. CELLKS, selects. And so what take review when a lil selects. A lil, means little, but it also means, to look, like to appear. What take review to appear selects. What tomorrow, WTTO, what tomorrow. Nestle he anises. This to sand, anything with the SLH in there, the sail, the sand. But to nestle, he anneses. Anneses is, to loosening, to loosening the regulations, and what tomorrow nestles, he anneses, to loosen the restraints on what you're nestling of fine new. And then why appear to, HPPRU, appear to, and let them search out why, meaning how or who appear to, and then to use, will knew what, to use again, will knew what, the arch, who sieve to, to bring back, it's the arch who sieve to, the top who receive to. And then, to use again, WAT, what new, WD, would of rat, what new would of rat. The rat is the beginning of the cycles, the rat. The pig is the end, and the rat is the beginning. What's new would have rat had direct, the way, what the rat had direct. And Asher, that's that son of Israel that they say means happy, but they give it all different meanings. But it's a sure, and so it really doesn't mean happy. It means, a sure thing. And when you're assured, you're happy. It's not if you're not wondering if things are going to work out. You're assured that things are going to work out, and that's happy. And to assure a null, the head, NB, and then two B's and two E's. In NB, who at the whore is assure, never alien. And what take review when a little selects, what tomorrow nestle annises. Of pine new, who appear to, will knew what the arch, who sieve to, what new whatever, at had direct, assure no, the head in B, who at the whore is, assure never alien. Never let the alien be the knoll, the head of the city again. Don't elect aliens as president. And then here in Ruth, the beginning of Ruth, it says, and set about not call. And it starts with what to more alien. What to a high place of the alien. The altit, usually they say law is not. Sometimes they either say this is God. They give this all kind of meanings. Whatever has to fit. But it's the altit. The height. The alt it. The height it. The frainly. Frain meaning to ask. To inquire. Hey, how high is it? What to mar of the high place, the alien. The height it frain. The alt it frain. To ask how high the lie, how high it lies. So it's not to call, it's to question. The gnome if ran lie. The gnome is the name of a place, a gnome. Mar a key, the height a key here, the height here. The mar Shaddai, Sheddy, S.O. Sheddy. A couple movies ago I talked about that. That's the serpent god, the one that sheds. And the mar, the height shed of Sheddy. The mar Sheddy lie, the height of O Sheddy lie made. When they were sacrificing to demons, this too is where this L comes from. To O Shed eyes, O Sheddies. But they also say, oh, Sheddy is that spot between my breast lies. Oh, Sheddies is between the breast. And what I'd figured out from that is it has to do with where the Venus is sitting. Venus is in sheds, the moon is in shacks, and the sun is in houses. But most of the time this comes up, it's always All Shaddai, El Shaddai, they call it. And El Shaddai, the God Almighty, the one that lays between the breasts, the demon between the breast. And so that makes me think, that it has to do with the two farthest points that Venus can get away from the sun. Would be the shed of Venus stays, close to the sun. It can't get too far away. Here's that, the God of Shaddai, the El Shaddai. And so, the gods come from the alt, the height, the alt. And they alternate up there, they take turns. And what two more alien, the height frame, the height question lie, the gnome, so it's not just, the gnome isn't just the name of places on Earth, but it's the name of places in the sky. And they reflected, on Earth what was in the sky. And that's why you see the maps of Egypt, represent the stars. And what the question lie, the gnome, if ran lie, more here, more a key, more here, the more Shaddai, the more Shaddai, the more skin coming off the serpent, the more Shaddai lie made. So this alien, that destroyed Egypt, that was Joseph. In the Bible, that's what the story says. You had the alien in there, and he opened the door, let the hicks of the caraviz, and in time rise, the Kaiser as a vise. He become the king's advisor. And then the next thing you know, he become the head. He was the knoll. And the head, the knoll in B, who it whore is. The whore is what that city's known for. The whore is the Statue of Liberty, is the Sphinx, is the pyramid, what stands out, what's trying to be seen the most, Them whores don't hide back in the alley. They go out there on the corner and try to wave you down. And the head in B, who at the whore is assure never an alien. Well, we never gonna have an alien be the head again. They taught us our lesson. So that's what happened. We got aliens running America right now, and they opened up the gates, and they're trying to assure the vote. They're promising everything. The illegals make more than you make working every day. They make more just for coming across the border. And they're trying to assure the vote because that scam that they had didn't work out. And they want all the heads. They want to set all the laws. And yeah, America's fixing to look like Egypt did 100 years ago. If we don't wake up, them Christians all got their head up the ass, waiting for Jesus to come save them. Yeah, this is what America's fixing to look like. That big old bustling city of Las Vegas, this is exactly what it's going to look like. So program's slowing down, but the next one I'm going to get on this so devised. We devised a plan, we cooked up a scheme. And if you want to learn how to read this, there's a link at the end, looks like this, the first. And this is the best place in the world to learn. I've been doing this a while, and I haven't found anybody in the world that knows how to read this and wants to help you learn to read it. This is the only place in the world, and this is the best place to start. And if you start at this playlist, just this first movie, you'll know more than any rabbi does.
Don't forget, hooty hoot, I won't forget.
Alright, I'm going to cut this off here. Good day.